Well, hi everyone, how you doing?
Alright, that's all the time we had for this episode. Good night, everybody.
Well, that's good. So, let's get right into it then, shall we?
Sure.
Take us to where
I'll
we were
get
before.
right into you.
Oh my. Matt, don't
Well
threaten
then.
Matt, don't threaten me with a good time. So the party has just really transitioned to a plane known as Alkabah. Badly damaged and, well, in need of some rest. And also on the logic that though the vampire was protected by the canopy of trees back in Muraganda, he has no such protection here. And we all know the first rule of vampires, don't we?
The sun is your friend?
Oh, it's the best friend. It loves to give you burning sun hugs, you know?
I
Here
thought
I
that
was
was
going to say
being
they were sparkly. Oi!
I
Just
thought the
because
first rule
we all turned bright fucking red.
I thought the
And
first rule about being a vampire was go for the children first.
Oh, that's just dark.
Well, they're like the healers of humanity, apparently. Always go for the healer first. Summoner second. So by that extension, it's children first, then the women.
So, the party, currently consisting of Tedrix, Marcus, Jing, Acvis, and Vitus, decide to take some time, camp out in that dune.
Yep.
Recover some health and settle themselves, since it's probably going to be that the vampire's not going anywhere until nightfall. During this time, I'm going to clean your lethal damage that I gave way too much of.
all of it?
With my
Yay.
apologize, all of it. Take it all away.
Yay. Thank you.
And I'm going to give you guys each a legend point. Boop. Boop.
Wait, Vidus gets a legend point too?
Vitus also gets a legend point.
Hell yeah.
He's a tiny little legend.
I mean, we all saw the creature scream. Apparently the little tiny dragon is scarier than I am.
No comment.
You can see its bones.
You can see my teeth.
Rar.
I mean, those are
Rawr.
bones.
To be fair, typically it's not you we're worried about, it's your giant scythe.
Technicalities.
The one with fatigue 2 on it.
Yeah, that one. Sorry, Josh.
That's not a scythe. That's a soul siphon. That is a totally different item.
True. You should also be worried about the scythe, though, because it can apply a death boon. Or bane. Death boon.
Death boon.
I mean, for some people it is a boon. I mean, it's definitely a boon for you.
Very true.
So the party settles down. Some of you probably napping through the day.
Yeah. Marcus is going to go ahead and be nice and take watch.
Okay. Hey Marcus, you know what there is to watch?
Absolutely nothing?
Sand. Sand, sun, and the occasional breeze.
I mean, he can
Yeah.
watch Vidus playing in the sand.
I didn't really expect anything, but you never know.
True, with me, you do never know.
I would like to roll perception on the sand dune. I'm joking. I don't want to.
Wait, I know what reference we need to use here. I spy with my light rocks. Damn it! How did you know? Because it's the only thing out here. Rocks and dirt. You did dirt last time.
Yeah, fair enough. Can't even argue that.
For a brief moment, I want to take the spotlight and put it on Akvis, and specifically, we're going into your head.
Oh, fun.
Into your what?
Into Akvis's head.
Oh, thank God.
Because as you lay napping, you begin to dream. In your
You
dream,
hear a tapping, a gentle rapping on your chamber door.
no, there is no chamber door.
With the raven, nevermore.
You guys just had to poem me, didn't you?
Yep.
I'm just
Simply's fault.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just a post, so nobody loves me.
Oh snap!
Oh, snap.
So, in your nap, you become conscious of yourself as you kind of float in your own head. And then a scene begins to play out to you. You see black volcanic rock, brimstone specifically. And then light comes into this little dream as a massive pool of molten stone pulls out before the small ledge of black rock you stand upon. Within it you see it churn and boil. And then two black pits emerge, about the space of what two giant eyes would be. And a deep chuckle rumble through this volcanic heart.
Shit. Also, Josh, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
A little bit? I'm sorry.
A lot
You're
of
good.
it.
A lot of it? Shit.
I mean, I only got about half of what you said.
Ditto.
I will have to... Let me check the health of the stream real quick. Hopefully this doesn't mess the stream as I switch my my connection. Oh, nope, they're both of the same strength, so this is just a thing that's going on. Well then, I'll just have to deal with it. Am I still cutting in and out?
Less so
Mhm.
now.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
Good. Hooray for settled latency.
Yay.
So what was the last word you got of that description I was making?
Giant pits for eyes in molten lava mass.
Got it. Slowly, the lava begins to geyser suddenly, flowing upward in a vague shape, and you see within it something dark and black. As suddenly a large, scaled black arm reaches forth from the geyser of volcanic mass and reaches towards Akvis.
Do I have control of my dream self?
Vague control. You are nowhere near as fast nor as able to move as you'd like to be.
I want to lunge backwards and try and throw up a shield of black mana.
You do so. The taloned hand hesitates briefly before the shield of black mana, before casually reaching with a single claw, inserting it through the shield and twisting, shattering it. Is that any way to greet a friend?
I left you behind when you cast me out into the multiverse. Why are you still haunting me?
The hand reaches down and grips you by the tail and lifts you almost to eye level with it.
Motherfucker!
Oh, because, little lizard. Remember our deal. I gave you exactly what you wanted for.
Can you say that one more time?
Remember
our deal.
I gave you exactly what you wanted. And now I must admit that your path becomes very interesting to me.
What do you want with me? She folds her arms across her chest, trying to maintain some sense of decorum while suspended upside down from her tail.
For right now, to observe. You've attracted some interesting friends and some interesting forces arrayed against you.
You want my permission to watch over my shoulders? Or is this not so casual a visit as it would seem?
Permission would be nice, but not something
Necessary?
No, not at all. Call this a courtesy.
What is your end game here? If you went to such lengths to help me then, and then cast me out to die, knowing full well that that may be what happened, why come back now? If I am just a fleeting speck.
All that issues is just a deep, rumbling chuckle that vibrates the volcano itself.
Her tongue flicks out. She's pissed.
At this point, the hand moves suddenly, throwing you up into the air and down towards the magma below as the dream fades out.
Akvis comes awake with a curse in her native language that's mostly sibilant hisses and a couple of really hard consonants.
Which, thanks to the voice, everyone understands.
I don't think I'm allowed to repeat what she's saying on stream, so I'm going to leave it to people's imaginations. And she throws up a shield of red mana almost like a second skin around her.
At this point, Marcus is in something of a panic because something clearly happened and there is clearly a threat here, but he can't find it. I mean, I'll go ahead and roll perception, but I know I'm not going to perceive the perception high enough.
A dog barking at the TV.
Pretty much.
I would like to suggest that that's exactly what Vidus is doing, is the equivalent of the dog barking at the TV, wherein Vidus is the dog and Aquis is the TV. Is this for, like, acceptable, Josh?
Yeah, that's basically the expression.
Yeah, with an 11, there's no way Marcus sees anything but sand. Aside from suddenly one of the people that he's trying to keep an eye on is suddenly, awake, cursing, and trying to shield themselves with magic.
That's a true story, considering there's not much to perceive here.
Jing will slowly wake up, sit up, look at the shield, and kind of tap on it with his finger.
What's the shield supposed to do? Is it like a fireproof spell or a...
It's a fireproof spell. It's a really, really big fireproof spell. As much as she could gather the mana for in the time between getting tossed up into the air and the dream fading.
So yeah. Jing's finger can go easily through the shield.
It tickles. It's slightly warm.
He kind of rubs his fingers together like he's examining something sticky. Lass, if the sun is bothering you so much, you could have just borrowed my parasol.
It takes her a minute, but I slowly relax and stand up, but don't let the spell drop. And shake my head, tail flicking, kicking up sand right behind me. Like I'm trying to shake something off of my tail. Something is not right here. Josh, is there any way I would know if that was actually like a sending or just a dream? Like, is there any trace of that contact that I could follow through the verse, or?
Let me briefly peek at your character sheet.
Vidus has outstanding perception, if that's helpful for the dog barking at the TV metaphor.
Prescience could work, but you don't have any ranks in that. A base will check might work.
I can do that.
Roll that will. You take stock of your head, a moment of introspection. Something made that feel very real, but you can't tell if that was actually like some form of message sent across things, or if that was just in fact a dream. To sum it up another way, it seems very odd that you were particularly lucid during it.
Have I had dreams like this before?
No, not up to this point.
Okay. I will then let the fireproof spell drop and curl my tail around my left leg just to keep it from, like, stirring up a dust storm. And fold my arms across my chest, staring at the sand, like I'm expecting something to come out of it.
The moment your eyes settle and just start kind of focusing on one specific point in the sand, Marcus is just like freaking out, and he runs to that point and just starts going, not digging, but like he is ready for something to go springing out of the sand.
I suspect that if anything were to come of that, it already would have, Marcus. But I appreciate the gesture.
What do you mean? There's a threat there, right?
Perhaps, or perhaps merely a dream with a touch too much reality involved.
Magic confuses me.
That seems surprisingly ironic, all things considered.
Yeah. He kind of relaxes and just goes back to where he was sitting earlier.
Vitus wanders up and tucks himself comfortingly around your legs.
She scratches his ear ruff, or ear bone. I don't know how my dragon's anatomy works.
Proceed.
Well, if it's all bony and stuff, does it have ears?
His horn. I don't really know.
Proceed the dog leg kick, you're tickling me posture.
Yes.
It is the
Activist
greatest
then-
evil boy.
Yes. Acvis then proceeds to give the bony dragon a belly rub on the sand, in the sun, to try and get a dream out of her head.
Really quickly, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Any reaction or activity from Teedrix during this time?
Well, sorry. I had to swallow. Shut up, Matt. Seeing the commotion, he's keeping his distance because there's still that whole trust issue. But he's not going. He's just staring at him, really. Cause I mean, he's not. There's not a whole lot that he can do.
Right. Just getting a stock of where your character was. So.
Yeah, he's just eyeing them unbelievably.
Let's take a moment then and shift the spotlight to another realm entirely, back to whence she came. Fizzle.
Just like cut out, I think.
No, I was organizing my words in my head. So you did reach the Coven of the Blood Witches, the Blood Witch tribe, back in Muraganda.
You are in fact still cutting out, Josh.
I'm still cutting out? Okay.
Yeah, because back in and then it stopped.
Lovely. I'm gonna try switching my thing and see if that helps. Someone tell me if the stream dies.
Yeah, stream back.
Alright, I'm gonna just have to hit the begin gut button and give it a part 2. As you fly in, you see some of the well, you remember that howitzer on wheels you made?
Yeah.
There are several Neanderthals of the tribe riding it about with various gleeful expressions, intermingled with screams of terror as they don't quite understand what they're doing with it, other than push this thing, make go. Meanwhile, the matriarchs of the clan seem to have secluded themselves into Arikari's cave to discuss things.
I mean, that looks like fun, so I'm just gonna lead them to it.
Here,
If they blow something up, that'll be hilarious.
just throw down her icon so we can understand who's being discussed here. The proper noun.
As a heads up for those of you who may not be zoomed out all the way, she is on the right-hand side of the lotus.
And
her magical power is derived from her hair.
Oh, is that what that is?
yeah, that's a series of bones interlaced into like a big hair headdress thing.
Oh.
And yeah, I believe at this point you guys you have been able to spend the day. What'd you spend the day doing, Fizzle? Was I cutting out again?
No.
Kind of.
What? How? What?
So yeah, you get to spend a good 6-7 hours here. What do you spend it doing?
Oh well, part of it's probably gonna be watching those Neanderthals because that looks, like I said, it's like a fun time, and if they blow something up, that'll be hilarious. The rest of the time, I want to find out what's going on in the tent over there. I'm just gonna walk in like I own the place.
Well, the watching of the tribesmen basically work your howitzer cannon. Involves them flipping it several times, which they just flip back over and keep going. They don't blow anything up. Arikari seems to have taken whatever ammunition was in there.
Smart. Boring, but smart.
Within the tent, Arikari invites you to sit next to her. They're apparently having a very long and tense discussion over their methods. Specifically the use of blood magic. There are basically two camps. Some that side in loyalty with Arikari, and some that refuse to give up the tradition that they've have brought them to prosperity in the first place. That being the exchange of lives for wishes. Neither side seems to want to give an inch. Arikari espouses that there are other forms of magic and that she's come in contact with a number of them at this point.
Josh,
Yes.
clarifying question.
Yes.
Does she still have the sword?
She still has the sword. She uses it
Okay.
as evidence, actually. She uses the sword as evidence. Some basic rudimentary thing, glitter magic she's learned from Fizzle. Some of the things that she's seen in Vane's books during her time there. She uses it to shape a stone into a perfect cube.
It's kind of hard to take an anti-necromancy stance seriously when you're wearing a crown made of bones.
So, okay, context for those that weren't there. Their entire tribe was hardcore blood magic use. We showed up and we're like, oh, you silly little people, taking the path with the least resistance for the most bang initially. But you guys are going to stagnate. And they're like, how dare you insult our thing? And so then the dragon just fucking whipped up a super duper magic legendary sword out of nowhere. He's like, it's almost like when you learn to do some extra shit, then you can actually, do things. And then pretty much everybody else, it was just set, and then we just spiked and just destroyed her faith in blood magic.
Basically, yes. There was a long verbal combat, basically. And yes, Bulgaria did pull what basically amounted to a perfect steel sword out of the very iron of the ground.
We were playing Fate. I got a legendary success.
It was kind of cool. So yes. And yes, they discussed for most of the 6 hours, with the 7th basically everyone going their separate ways to rest and attend to tribe matters.
Did you say to try meth?
No, there's no meth in caveman land. I'm sorry.
It was just like, it was the worst place for it to cut out on my end. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are they trying?
Cave to tribe matters. Yes. Arikari, seemingly very frustrated by this point, brings Fizzle into her cave and just kind of sits down with a huff to sit and think about her next tactics for tomorrow. So Fizzle, remember those magic mirrors the party had that allowed for communication between planes?
Sure.
Yes, Matt.
Whoops. Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
It's fine.
I sent you a thing. Sorry.
I noticed you sent me a thing.
Emily, I sent you a thing too. So continue on with what you were doing.
Yeah. So, what do you do?
Christmas is not just about toys. I don't know. We were talking about not blood magic or blood magic.
Yeah, they were discussing whether or not it would be a good if they could transition to doing something different. If it was wise to give up these festivals they're doing where people bring them sacrifices, because there's a lot of power inherent in that. But Arikari wants to drop the entire thing.
Alright, well, go up, say hello, give her a kiss, and then just be like, okay, everybody, shut up. It's time to listen.
Oh no!
Oh, you're gonna get in on the discussion. Okay.
Blood magic is stupid.
Oh no.
It works, but it's stupid. You know what's really good? Glitter magic. And whatever else she says she likes doing, because she knows a lot of stuff. But glitter magic is the best magic.
One of the older tribe crones narrows their eyes at her.
She narrows her eyes.
She narrows her eyes. Sorry, I was reading the thing that just popped up in the chat. She narrows her eyes and states simply, "Can glitter magic protect us from the other tribes?" Right now.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes, it can.
We hold a promised position. No one wars with us For all have wishes, all have desires, and only we can grant them. What do we do without this?
Again, glitter magic.
What?
Also, I wasn't actually listening, so I'm not sure what your specific question was, but the answer is still glitter magic. I will build you a giant wall of fire. Is that what you want?
How is... She blinks several times, trying to rationalize what you just said, and how it applies to what she said.
I also told her I wasn't listening, so...
Eventually, she just kind of realizes that you weren't listening to anything she said or any of the concerns she brought up, and gives you like a, oh, how rude kind of expression.
Anyway, I see that has had no effect. What did she ask me? I'll ask Arikari. What did she ask?
Okay, so Arikari basically settles you and goes, right now, like, war is inevitable for every tribe. Right now, we can maintain peace and neutrality because none will attack the one that gives people what they desire. We have the ability to offer that, no matter what it is. Taking lives is burdensome, but it does provide us an amount of freedom and isolation.
I mean, ultimately, I'm gonna say do what you want. You're all grown. But, you know, you can still do these same things with other kinds of magic. It's just, it takes a little more work.
Much harumphing and rabble is like a big murmur goes out to the crowd.
I mean, if y'all want to be lazy, that's fine. That's up to you. Again, like I said, you're all grown. You can do what you want, but you can do it. You just put a little more work into it.
I should also mention that for the people who weren't here for the Fate game, every time these people talk, it looks like an Asian or a foreign movie that hasn't been properly synced right, because they're using like very simplistic terms the entire way through. But Fizzle, having the voice from the Planeswalker, her Planeswalker Spark, understands what concepts they mean. So, just for that point of reference as well. Would you like to make a persuasion check, Fizzle?
Okay.
Unless there's any additional arguments you'd like to bring up.
No, I guess not.
Okay then, let's roll those bones.
Why did we end up with persuasion so low?
Because her method of problem solving involves throwing glitter at it.
Actually, she used to have quite a high level of provoke. Wouldn't that be persuasion?
Yeah, that would have been persuasion.
the numbers didn't really translate from one game system to the other very well.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we can shift some things around.
I mean, to be fair, presence could be substituted into it. Since it's, give a speech, inspire people, exert your first personality, yada yada.
Could be.
Is that what we're thinking? Maybe I'm not. I'm confused. I don't remember.
The difference between presence and persuasion is kind of like splitting a hair, really, because persuasion is you're trying to negotiate a deal, convince someone, haggle, and get information. Presence is giving a speech, singing a song, and then that's one thing, but then inspiring an army, and what the hell would exert your force of personality mean other than any form of social situation?
Look at me, I'm so pretty. Then yeah, since you are trying to inspire multiple people in a room, click on presence and roll those dice.
Alright.
Click on the name, not the gear. It'll bring up 2 drop downs, which you're gonna say just go on both. Or just click OK on both.
I brought up the input value box.
Yeah, the value is 0.
Okay.
And then it'll ask you if you have advantage or disadvantage, which you just say neither/advantage.
Neither. Okay.
Okay.
My wonderful daughter, accept.
You notice a few people starting to murmur to one another.
Merry Christmas.
Like that maybe you have swayed them a little bit.
Thanks for opening my eyes. I hope it's not too late.
But it's obvious that maybe about 8 people of the room come over to your side. Out of the 30 or so that are there. Arikari gives you kind of a wan, small smile from where she stands at the back of the cave.
See, these people know what's going on. What is wrong with the rest of you?
Those people who were muttering suddenly look shocked that you just outed them.
I mean, they've met me before, right? So.
Not particularly.
I don't remember, honestly.
You spend most of that party in the cave with Kari.
Oh, that's right.
So
Yeah, but all of the preamble before the finger banging was, out there.
Also,
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the finger banging was out there too.
Wink, wink.
wink, wink.
Nudge, nudge. Honk, honk.
But yes, at this point, Arikari kind of leans over and whispers into Fizzle's little ear. This is not going to be something we can resolve in a single day.
I mean, if not with that attitude.
She chuckles. It will take
And
time.
I mean, if you're all worried about defending yourselves, that is super easy. Also, I mean, yes, the best way is to just not get attacked to begin with. But as you make this, what I'm going to consider fairly relatively easy transition from doing it the easy way to doing it the slightly harder way, you can quite easily, using these techniques, make sure that you are also quite safe.
one of the older women clicks a staff on the cave floor. Then show us.
Okay, what kind of thing do you want to see?
Show us how we might defend ourselves. We have seen your gifts, and she gestures to the cave mouth where some of the tribe men are still writing it about. We know that they can be destructive. She indicates a crater in the mountain.
Yeah.
However, these are marvels beyond what we could even imagine. I still don't quite understand how either of these even work.
If you can imagine it, you can do it.
Again, show me. Knowledge is not the gift untested.
That's fine. And I'm gonna go out and build them a giant wall of fire.
Clarifying question on this one. Giant wall of fire that is contained, or just giant wall of fire that's out there in the middle of the forest?
That is a good question.
My follow-up is, are you putting an opening in it so they can get back out of the village?
Another question. How long is it going to last?
I mean, you know,
This is what
this is just for a demonstration, so it doesn't have to be like super long.
Okay, Emily, roll me energy. Okay. Fizzle knows this might take a bit. She is setting up multiple parts of this thing. She's making a wall. They aren't built quickly.
They are built in a day. You shut up.
So I'd say this might take some time.
Okay.
So while Ari takes over the discussion in the cave, everyone kind of just watches her move about, setting up the pillars of this firewall. Magical pillars, of course. They're like probably glitter runes in the ground or something like that, correct?
Yep. Glitter everywhere.
Then, relatively assured of your handiwork, you go back to demonstrate. And the wall flares up around the village. A thin, towering inferno, or a curtain, about, I'd say about 7 feet tall. A perfect circle around this village. People begin to scream.
See? Now, this can be made bigger, stronger, thicker, whatever. You know, just put some more effort into it. This was a quick and easy demonstration. Oh, also, you might want to keep your people who are panicking from running through the wall. That'll be a bad time.
The men are gathering weapons and congregating in the center of the village.
Wait, are they gonna fight the fire with weapons?
They think they're being attacked.
See, I think this is a feeling of their own leadership to say, hey, by the way, she said she's going to start a wall of fire. See if that actually happens.
They're arguing. This is the caveman equivalent of Fizzle walking into the Congressional Congress and saying, hey, everyone, look, wall of fire.
I got you bored of already.
Oh.
But you didn't make them pay for it.
Won't be any climbing over that wall.
I'm almost tempted to go change the name of the episode to Fizzle Builds the Wall in a Day.
No.
Subtitle.
Subtitle.
A subtitle. To see how long this episode's name can get.
But no, I'm also going to state that this probably ends all discussion for the day, as the leadership now has to go lead and calm people.
And the naysayers have to come up with the rebuttal to Firewall.
They have to come up with a rebuttal to Firewall. Arikari's about the only one left on the top of the hill, standing next to Fizzle.
So, now that you got time, wink, wink.
She blinks several times and goes, I don't know if you just made things easier or harder. Come
Why
along.
not both?
Come along.
This went exactly as planned.
How did that work?
It's Fizzle, it's best not to think about it.
Teach me your ways, Emily.
Step 1, fire.
The trick is to go in without a plan, do whatever, and then claim it was the plan the whole time.
Sounds like a good plan.
Emily is Zinch.
wasn't Sneech like plans within plans, against plans, with more plans and planning?
And he plans against himself too, just for the hell of it.
And mine is more, don't plan anything and then take the credit for the plans afterwards.
Yeah, but there comes a point where if you have an infinite number of plans, then you functionally have no plan, because you're kind of just planning at whatever happens.
I suppose that is fair.
That's the truth. Alright, so, I believe, Matt, you had we're going to move the spotlight over to Matt, because Matt had a plan for when this happened. So yes, Fizzle, you get to spend a nice hour with Arikari.
And just at about the time that you've finally gotten her to realize, like, she was invited to a seduction, that mirror in your pack starts making sound.
Oh, alright. Well, I'm not going to stop, but I will answer.
I don't know if Josh has the ability to. Are you able to play that through the stream, Josh?
I don't believe I have the ability to play that through the stream, Matt.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
I don't have sound.
That's unfortunate. Because that's what I tried to link. Couple of cello dudes playing Thunderstruck. Bum bum. Yeah. So when you pick up the thing, on the other side of the mirror is Conan again. There's some dude that looks like he would fit in Conan. And like over his shoulder, you see what looks like.
Sorry, I was muted. I was like, you're just like, he's the Conan. I was like, oh, Bulgarian, pick another face, ruining the moment for me.
No, this is somewhat. Oh, hello, Arikari. Josh, you have to play the chick getting fingered.
I'm not moaning on stream. I'm sorry. You get that in private time.
Oh my!
Here, okay, Sarah, you do the moan. Josh, you do the dialogue.
Nice try.
Anyway, so hello, Arikari. So either Fizzle, if you're there, Where's the rest of the menagerie as it was when I ended up having to leave?
I have no idea. They went somewhere and I went somewhere else. They're really boring.
Well, the short version here is that apparently those vampires are not going to be a thing that stops. They are actively gunning specifically for you and I. Did you know we have a reputation now across multiple planes?
I assumed, but it's always good to know.
You remember that vampire that we chased down because he was intending on trying to just slaughter an entire village, and so, you covered him in spices and I ate him?
Yeah.
Yes, he was apparently a spokesperson for an entire family of vampires, and they have multiple planeswalkers, of which, from what I understand, you've apparently run into only a few.
Yeah, sure, that rings a bell.
Anyway, this person behind me, and this is when the mirror kind of turns slightly, and you can see the person who was standing behind him. It's less a person and more, from the waist up, it looks like a person made entirely out of metal with a featureless face and a hood on and 4 arms. But then below the waist, it's entirely like serpentine. This is
Did you go
Kethis.
crazy? Are you talking to your golem?
No. Well, and at this point, the golem starts speaking, and I have to change my thing.
No, he's changing the thing.
My name is Kethis. I am from the plane that the vampires come from. They have stolen some of my research, and that is how they were able to escape from you. Well, your friends. I have been trying to find you and Dragon here, or Malgarian, I apologize, and these vampires have all but openly declared war on all Planeswalkers. This includes you. Specifically you.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Oh, indeed.
I mean, unless they're like the last ones, and then no.
Oh, those were simply their minions.
Oh, good. That sounds more exciting.
Oh, yeah. Exciting. Interplanar genocide is exciting.
He's funny.
Okay. Your name is Fizzle, correct?
Yeah, that's me.
Alright. I've been able to scry where your friends went. And
Not my friend.
if not friends, then
At this point, the golem seems to be kind of flustered because it's like he obviously doesn't know what he needs to say. And so just Malgarian turns the mirror back to himself and he goes, Fizzle, we have a lot of vampires to kill and we're going to need some additional firepower. I am on my way back. We've managed to scry where they all ended up, frankly, because they're no longer on Muraganda. Also, that book that we went through so much time for is no longer on Muraganda. And that codex is going to be incredibly important.
What? I was distracted.
I could tell. She twitched very aggressively. I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I need you to wrap up there. And I'm sorry, Arikari. I know you would like to be as incoherent as you were a few weeks ago. But if we do not deal with this, Arikari, your entire tribe will be wiped off of the map along with the rest of us. Because I know for a fact that at least one of your females is going to be carrying my offspring. And I have no doubt that these vampires would like to eradicate our entire bloodlines. Which would now include your tribe.
That's a mood killer. You shut up. Also, of course, I'm on board.
All right. When you're, well, frankly, dressed and ready to go, call me again on the mirror. I will meet you on Alkabah, and I will try to do what I can to help pull you to the rest of the group.
I mean, okay, but yeah, never mind. It'll be a surprise. See you.
If you bring Arikara with you, she will dissolve.
That was not the plan.
Okay, I simply wanted to make sure. And at that point, he hangs up.
So with that, I'm gonna do this. Deeply, he's walking over here. His name. Ta-da! So let's briefly spotlight back to our group.
Okay.
Is that my lead-in, Josh?
That would be your lead-in.
Okay, so to be clear, because I'm pretty sure it was mentioned in front of Akvis at some point what the Codex does. But before I jump into this, I want to make sure that she has actually heard it in character. Am I mistaken? But someone has mentioned what it does in front of her, right?
I don't think so.
If it has, then it would be an off-screen thing.
Okay. Then we will move on with that.
For the moment? Okay.
For the moment.
Alright. So yes, let's moving back to the spotlight to Alkabah, let's deal with Mulgarian and Vizhel's arrival there.
So I guess to preempt that then, because I'm not entirely familiar with how hard would it be to simply just planeswalk to where they are without like somebody trying to use their spark as like a beacon or whatever the fuck.
I'll say this time it's fairly easy. I might throw twists on
cool.
that, but I haven't really actually thought about that. I'll come up with something between sessions.
Cool. So just locking onto wherever the fuck Tedrix was then, just the next thing you guys know, there is a half-naked humanoid dude just standing in the middle of the group wearing a loincloth. And after a moment, he just kind of looks around. Oh, excellent. Not in a confined space. Turns into just white light and then expands immediately into a 20-foot tall dragon who just sits down in the sand. You recognize him from when you were on, what was the portal city, Josh?
Catfly.
Catfly, yes.
Akvis throws her shields back up.
Malgarian.
Tedrix.
Oh, go for it.
No, go ahead. Like,
Oh,
you get, reaction round is appropriate.
I was just gonna say Marcus had probably fallen back asleep and is just sitting there snoring.
What's Jing doing?
He once again sits up halfway through the snore, looks at Malgarian, taps him with one finger. Oh, you're back. Good night. And you go back to sleep.
Hello again, Dietrich.
Glad to see you're back.
Frustrations aside with the Codex, there's been additional information come to light. If I may, this is Kethis.
And he kind of like moves a leg off to the side, and that's when the Naga like or whatever golem kind of slithers across the sand with its cloak around its over its shoulders, and clasps two of its hands together, flat, like palms flat, and then its lower arms end up coming together like fist to fist, both of them in front of itself, as it then like kind of bows its head a little bit.
Hey,
A pleasure to make all of your acquaintances.
hey, Josh. Before Malgarian and them had come in, Tidrix was actually looking through the codex.
Yeah.
As soon as Malgarian showed up, he didn't really react, but once the Naga Golem showed up, he slowly put the codex back in his bag.
As you put the codex back in your bag, you feel the surface of the book. It feels warm.
Warm?
Yeah. Unusually warm.
I'll take a skim through it to see if there's like any new information.
First page you turn to, there's a picture of Kethis.
Oh, two pictures. Both of them are subtitled as Kethis.
Yes, two pictures. They're both subtitles as Kethis. Freshly drawn in ink.
Okay. Still gonna put it away.
When you did pull it back out, the golem's head obviously turns to look at it.
Oh, is that Vane's Codex?
Nothing. Just stone faced, still putting the book away.
You're definitely going to need that. So, Malgarian asked that I relay a number of points of information to you all about the situation that you have unfortunately been roped into. It's one that I've been trying to address for a few years. But, no. A year. Just under a year. It's been very trying. As the Lord Malgarian stated, I am Kethis. I am from the same plane as the vampires that have been pursuing you. They are one of the vampire houses of my home plane, House Casimir. They stole the research that allowed me to put my soul and ignite my spark within the skull. Subsequently, they have taken a interest in soul magic, trying to use it as power sources specifically. Is your dog a Planeswalker as well?
As he points over at Jing.
Oh snap!
Oh, snap.
And then he sees Marcus, and he knows better than to call Marcus a dog.
To be fair, Marcus is still passed out snoring.
Mm-hmm.
Tidrix goes, both of them are.
Oh snap!
Oh, excellent. I can... Are they a part of your little troop here? Because...
Not willingly.
Sorry?
Not willingly.
Ouch.
willingness or not, I'm going to assume that that answer means yes then, because at this point, willingness is secondary to compulsion for survival. The most straightforward way that I can put it is, if you have a spark, you are a target. If you are a planeswalker, they are after you. And subsequently, it puts a very distinct line in the sand, if you'll excuse the pun. Either you hide, and they hunt you, or we break them. And so, subsequently, it may be prudent if we weak them.
At which point Malgarian's just going to kind of, since there's just a bit of silence there, he's going to kind of lift his foot and stomp on the sand. It is not quiet.
Fiduce mimics the gesture, albeit at a much smaller scale.
Jane, Marcus, you find sleeping now very difficult.
Why?
Considering that, Marcus was kind of sort of half-assedly on watch and wasn't paying attention, and now this is happening, he's freaking out again.
That is enough. Calm yourself. There's a war to plan.
Where?
Everywhere, unfortunately.
You can't cause an earthquake and then say calm yourself.
I think he just did.
That's what I was going to say, and then I realized it's so absolutely not a Malgarian line. Like, I can, and I did. But anyway, at this point, so Keth is kind of like, so there's this way over where he can, like, kind of everybody can see him. And
Alright, there are a number of fairly straightforward points that need to be addressed. Some that Malgarian already knows, but if you'll excuse me.
he ends up like reaching under his little cloak thingy, and one of his hands reaches inside of his chest, and he pulls out a little notebook. And he flicks it open. And he's like, all right. And it's like 3/4 of the way through this book. I have been
keeping an eye on House Casimir's resources and activities, and trying to discern what I can of their agenda. Knowing that none of you people know me, I understand that this is a lot to swallow all at once. And the truth of the matter is, I am here looking for allies. I attempted to try and confront them at first to get my research back, because I do not trust the neck-sucking leeches.
Your research?
I used to be alive. The Codex will inform you of this. I was one of the carnivorous merfolk of my home plane. I became ill, and in my attempt to try to survive, I began research into the nature of souls, specifically the energy that keeps them contained and perpetual. Because even after the body fails and dies, the soul persists. The number of ghosts where I come from is evidence enough of this.
So you transferred your consciousness into an automaton.
Correct. I built this frame, and then I contained my soul with...
And at this point, the chest cavity of him opens up. Like 4 or 5 panels open up at different layers of shielding, and you see this like dark purple crystal hovering in the middle of the chest with energy obviously coming from it into the golem body.
Then
Josh.
I have seen...
Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, do your thing.
Yes.
Can I roll energy or entropy against that to compare it to the thing that we saw last session?
That wouldn't be one of the extraordinaries. That would be like a learning or a perception.
Okay, I will roll perception. Or, you know, not roll perception. That works too, apparently.
I'd say it's close enough. It's similar. It's much less malevolent than what you saw last episode, but there is kind of that hazy ephemerance from the spark. Typey.
So then it is a possibility that this research of yours... Sorry, I'm turning Irish. It is then possible that this research of yours could be used to capture a spark and
A
contain
spark
it. Go ahead.
Yes, a spark is a condition of the soul. It is not a replacement of the soul, it is an additive. It is the most oversimplified way that I could state this.
Could I...
And so...
Go ahead.
And so by having done the research to use a soul as a power source, they now also have the ability to use the enhanced power of a spark as a power source for whatever they may functionally adapt it to. And while my research was written in a cipher, unfortunately they got a hold of this some time ago. And I have witnessed a number of tools and techniques that they have already been able to derive from my research.
She nods.
Specifically, they have created a thing that allows non-planeswalkers to walk the plane using our ability to planeswalk to protect those that it would not normally be able to.
Yes.
Sometimes it's in a jar, in a mirror, in whatever they can reasonably get it to connect with.
I believe we have encountered such a device.
Yes.
The Yoshino is a little smug. Just a little. Because she was right.
So, ultimately the problem is that the more sparks that they have, the more ability that they have to influence things outside of the plane that they come from. And it is no longer a matter of keeping my research out of their hands. They already have it. Too many of them already understand it. We are now at a point of, well, as unfortunately Bulgarian here stated, we are at war and we have to contain the enemy. I specifically went to find Bulgarian and his companion Fizzle because they, due to the House and their discussions and their divinations, learned that Bulgarian and Fizzle killed one of their planeswalkers some time ago. And so they are considered to be public enemy number one at the moment for them. But anyway, I apologize. I have my list of points. Unfortunately, it is not just the House. There is someone who is giving them direction. They have some form of beneficiary, someone who actually put them on this path. They're working. This is, and it's obvious that this is part of that. This is just part of their beneficiaries' agenda. House Casimir has a number of hunting points across other planes. They have portals that allow them to get off of Kyberlin. And so, even if I had built enough golems to simply assault their castle and compound, they would have had far too many avenues to retreat through. One of them is on Kafly, where I had been trying to fall down through. And as far as, I'm sorry, your name was Tedrix, correct?
Correct.
As far as the only reason I know of Fane's Codex is because they know of the Codex. While they had stolen the research from me, they stole that before I was able to put myself into this body, and so they did not recognize me. I had had the opportunity to inebriate one of their more stupid of the hunting group that, from what I understand, you all recently wiped out. They know about the Codex. They want it.
Sorry, Matt, hang on. You're kind of breaking up.
It's one of the downsides with the Morphvox thingy. It sometimes freaks out.
Or it could just be my connection.
I think in that case it was just your connection, Josh.
Yeah,
okay.
Sadly.
But anyway, I understand this is a lot to, frankly, dump on you all. It's a significant amount of information, I should say. And I cannot stay here to help you all with whatever it is that you may choose or choose not to do. I must go back to Caberlin, and I need to see if I can get my people to help with undermining their efforts. Fortunately, it is my tribal society, or I shouldn't say tribal, that's not the right word. Small villages and city-states throughout the ocean don't exactly are hard to convince to commit to a land war. But I have to see what I can do there. If any of you need to contact me, I also have a scrying communication there.
And at this point, he kind of he doesn't so much clap all four of his hands together. He just kind of like slowly like locks his fingers together, and it's obvious that this is like public speaking is not his forte. And he just kind of looks across like from all of you.
Does anyone have any questions before I must leave?
Do you have any enemies that may have known about your research and sought to undermine it?
Aside from the new...
Well, yes, of course.
In Caberlin, everyone is an enemy.
In regards to a response between first Vidus's indignation.
Vidus is very indignant.
Looking between Vidus and Marcus and then Tedrix, it's he seems frankly it looks like he's kind of getting shy. Like he's not quite sure how else to approach this. Like
I do apologize for the inconvenience and such, but I suppose if there's any of you that enjoy wiping out vampires and whatever other monstrosities that they might have enslaved to them, it'll be a field day. Other than that, I will attempt to provide you with as much information as I can from their compound.
I smile toothily. Vidus rattles. I suspect that we will find a great deal of amusement and enjoyment in this endeavor. Or at least a sense of comeuppance.
One can only hope. War is very often not pleasant for most. I hope that the tides always bring you good harvest, and that they do not drag you to the depths.
The sands will flow with blood.
And at that point, Kethis just kind of disappears as he leaves off for.
Wait.
Oh, that's right. You had another thing. I
Wait,
apologize.
come back. I'm not done with you yet.
Come back!
Yes.
Stop!
I can do better.
I
There are so many
understand.
questions.
I understand
Yes.
it's a touchy subject after it was stolen, but could I get a copy of your work, perhaps? I'd like to start developing a countermeasure for their stolen devices.
I mean no offense when I say this, but I have been trying to get my notes back from them for some time now because to put it more politely, prove that you're a trustworthy person, and then we can consider that. But until then, I have enough paranoia about who does and does not have my research.
Understandable. A scholar's research is his lifeblood, after all.
Exactly. Especially research that can be, as has been evidenced within the last year, so easily manipulated towards ends that it was not intended.
Knowledge is knowledge. It's all in how you use it. Vampires
Exactly.
are an unfortunate choice of thieves.
Anyway, if that is all, then I will, as I said, I will be in contact.
Best of luck to you.
And you all as well.
And then he poofs.
Poofing.
Poof.
I didn't miss any points today, Josh. Pretty sure I
don't
did.
believe so. I think you covered everything adequately. So,
And then there's Fizzle, who appears in a shower of confetti and glitter. Hi, kids.
Marcus looks surprised.
Welcome back, Pyromaniac.
Why do I suddenly have a second one of these legendary point thingamajiggers?
for role playing.
Yay!
Okay.
Oh, everyone got one but me. Oh, there it is.
Patience.
I was gonna feel really insulted if everyone.
I'm sorry, your sleeping just wasn't in character enough.
I'm giving that an extra one for driving that whole thing.
Exposition. Oh crap! You know what we need in the
A monologue?
no. We need a soundbite of CinemaSins narration. Ding.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Okay, maybe.
So,
God, these people are still boring. Bulgarian, make them fun.
We're going to war against plane-shifting vampires. How much more interesting could this be?
It
That's
could be on fire.
They will be on fire.
So I suppose the first question is, why did you all end up here from Maraganda?
We chased the vampire here.
Akvis kind of looks at Tedrix and then looks at Malgarian and wonders if Tedrix is going to explain.
Oh, Tedrix is looking kind of miffed at the moment. He is kind of ignoring everyone.
We walked after a planeswalker who had no spark of his own. One of this House Casimir.
So he must have had one of the devices that Kethis was speaking of.
Indeed. A sort of artificed jar.
It is curious. I wonder if the device isn't complete yet, because I can't imagine a vampire wanting a place like this.
Or they had not been properly trained in its use and misaimed.
The aura the device gave off was also very similar to a mortal jump.
Wait, what?
A planeswalker's spark held unwillingly in a device. One can only start to imagine that such a jump would be the usual for that kind of device.
Tedrix.
Yeah.
Why so grumpy, Tedrix? You should smile more.
Not my first question, but I suppose appropriate.
Why am I not smiling? Because it's one more thing that is going to be taking me away from my main objective in Planes.
Yes, it is.
But Tedrix, we're going places and doing stuff, and you're gonna learn things and make friends.
Fizzle, a moment.
To a true
Alright.
scientist,
Tedrix. You are a man driven by his responsibility. I know what you want to do. This is a means to that end. Because if this threat is not contained, then you'll be fighting on two fronts when you go back home. You could leave now, and you will be just in the same place you were at before.
My plane is burning.
And what would happen if an entire plane's worth of vampire population had the ability to jump across all of them as they wish, with no ability for their denizens to fight back?
If we
Your
go
plane is
off
burning.
gallivanting after this device and this research, I could be gone for the entire time, and my realm will have burned.
And if you go back now, I'm not saying that you have to like it. I'm not saying that you have to enjoy it. But what I am saying is that your level of expertise with fighting war rivals my own.
Okay.
And that is what we need. And if you leave now, you condemn your plane. Even if you saved it from what's going on now, you condemn it to death from these vampires.
Can I just point out that by going on these adventures and having a good time, or not, because you're very boring, you could learn a lot of interesting things that you could use to save your plane. Just say.
exactly. To a scholar, there are no distractions, only learning opportunities. Let's get rid.
Shut up.
Finally, something we agree on.
It's too late. He's off Garrett. He's not listening to you anymore.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna put it like this way. You don't gotta do it. You're grown. You can do what you want. You can just run off on your own. Or you can come along and do this thing and see if you learn anything that could help you. That's, either way. Like, you're still looking for answers, so why not look for them in this direction?
Or, this is just a thought, maybe you could help me fix my plane, and then I will happily go help you.
I'd like to point out that my plane is completely broken, and if I knew how to fix it, it would.
What I was trying to bring up, Peters, is a matter of scale. I am not saying that your plane is to be condemned to what is going on. What I'm saying is that there are priority. Because if we do not get this contained as soon as we can, your plane dies anyway.
The vampires are a priority for you. My plane, my empire, is a priority to me.
And that is one of the things I was trying to teach you about being a Planeswalker. You have the greatest agency within the multiverse. If it is your priority, act like it. Take that reign and deal with it. You are not forced to stay here. You are not forced to take my counsel. But I have been doing this for longer than you have been an adult. And the truth of the matter is, I do believe that if you leave back to your homeland, you are making a mistake. You are letting your personal interests get in the way of what needs to be done. But it is your mistake to make. So make your choice, because we have a war to plan against things that do not sleep. So what is your decision, Felix?
Give me a second.
And Gladius, yes, you are absolutely right. He is a massive hypocrite, but fucking dragon, and so therefore, I kind of feel like that should be assumed.
That's why I didn't say it in character, because I want to live.
Just, yeah, just pointing things out. I don't know.
Here, focus on somebody else right now.
Decide now, teachers. Decide now.
No. As a GM, how do I end up with a party of a bunch of disinterested dicks?
I'm interested.
Empress is interested for all the wrong reasons.
Filzel's only interested if she's enjoying herself.
I mean, I'll find out if I'm interested the second I find out that these guys are industrializing and, raping forests. Until then, meh.
So, in other words, Marcus is a hard tilt druid.
Yes.
We have to show him the Orc War Machine to make him get the insta-fight.
Well, I have a leap of logic Marcus could make himself, though.
Oh?
So that whole speech, is as much as he was like, "Oh, this is so boring. Fucking vampires, they're dead. I don't care." But soul hoobadoos. Deers have soul too.
Yeah.
Deer have souls.
Mm-hmm.
if they're just using souls as power sources in general, like, go into the woods, find a bear, gimp it, leech off of its soul to power your freaking golem. It could be a line of reasoning that he could jump to.
That's kind of debatable.
Have
you seen his intelligence stats? I have zeros in everything except for will.
Which means that you're average
Mm.
in those. I'm not like, that's kind of the thing. Okay, there's a principle for this gaming group that we would state all the time, that we haven't for a while, because I honestly don't know. Don't approach the game with, my character wouldn't do X. It's, I need to think of a reason my character might be into doing X.
Oh, right. No, like, he's going to go along. Like, this is an interesting group to him who has a lot of potential to do good and a lot of potential to do bad. And he's going to try to steer it towards doing good to the best of his ability. And if he's not there, then he doesn't have any control. But in terms of the actual reason why the group's going and, you know, what they're doing, he doesn't really have that much interest. It's more, am I being able to morally guide this group into doing something good?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like, he's going to go along. He just, you know, doesn't...
Yeah. And I figured that, and that's why it was just a suggestion of, he might be able to develop an interest if he has that leap of logic there.
Or if I see something that suggests.
Mm-hmm. Do we need a pause for like a 10-minute recess?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I know
Okay.
Actus has thoughts that I need to get on the page at this point in my day, or I will not be able to get them out of my mouth.
Okay.
But they're immediately relevant thoughts, so...
Okay.
Anyway, so,
Matt,
yeah.
have Malgarian make a logic roll.
Have Malgarian make a logic roll. Do you want logic, or do you want something else? Like any of the other mental stats?
Do you have poor logic?
I have a 0 in logic.
Josh, check your messages.
Like,
Now, do you want people logic or dragon logic?
do you want perception? Sense ulterior motives, track someone, catch a gut feeling, spot a hidden foe.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. No advantage in there.
No, just roll it.
Okay.
Oof. Okay.
Boom.
You get a few senses. One, the ultimatum was probably not the best way to go. Because it puts Tedrix in a position where a very zealous man has to put aside his zealousness, which Malgarian knows firsthand is probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, he also realizes that he's not being he's being only semi-dragon-like. He did make a promise to help the Planeswalker if he helped him with something. If he helped him get the Codex. Which he hasn't really lived up to his side of the bargain on that regard. Third thing that he realizes, you're all stuck here for the next 24 hours anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, you can only Planeswalk once a day?
once a day.
It's
I
got a
did not know
cooldown.
that.
Get your cooldown.
I would say that Tedrix also realizes this too, considering what you've been messaging me, Jimmy. Tedrix realizes that there is no real way off this plane for him right now. It'll be there available tomorrow.
Well, as I said it in the direct message, I I know what's coming. I can have Tedrix walk away for now. Walk away from the group. For now.
I'm going to send a short message.
Okay.
Poor bad. He's just trying to keep us all together.
You are not making it easy.
As far as an out of character thing, trying to elaborate on what Malgarian was thinking of, or like what his thought process is.
No, I understand Malgarian's thought process, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to go through Tedrix's fanaticism for his people.
Yes, and that's. I feel like one of the things that I may have not emphasized enough was pretty much when Malgarian said, "This is a thing. Like this is the priority because we need to deal with it sooner." But he's not trying to state that, well, your people are fucked either way, so just get over it. He's trying to state we need to deal with this first and contain this issue before it gets momentum, and then we can deal with that war.
Right, but again, Tedrix's fanaticism is I need to stop the death toll from increasing exponentially, so that there is a plane to go back to.
And this is kind of where we get into there's a false equivalence, because you have, or I shouldn't say not false equivalence. There's not a comparison though, because, or it's hard to draw a comparison from one to the other, because like they both are bad. And Malgarian's looking at it as a matter of scale. One plane versus all of the planes that they have hunting lodges at that they can actively go back and forth between already.
Right, but it's still the fanaticism filter that puts up that barrier of no, this is first. These are my people.
and I get that. And that's the thing. Like, as far as character flaws, you have zealotry on there. I have proud and stubborn.
It's not a good combination.
It's really not.
I have easily distracted. That's why I found a scarab.
The proud and vengeful Yoshino over here is about to get pissed. It seems relevant to recall that there is a sort of certainty that comes of actions. No? Imagine a plane of mortals, of creatures unable to fight back against this kind of foe. Or a plane where war leaves civilizations unable to defend themselves entirely. The youth of a culture leaving it vulnerable and naive to such considerations. Even if we fight for something else now, we fight for our own reasons in the end, all of us. I have no doubt that each and every one of us have some motivating factor behind our reasoning for being where we are, or some goal we wish to compel ourselves to complete with the power of our sparks. Failing here is not immediately synonymous with failure elsewhere. But what is the point of this snit? While we sit and stare? Whatever decisions are made now must be revisited when time permits it. That is a given with the nature of things. It seems the best use of our time to spend it building a plan, whether or not each individual among us plans to follow through with such. Or is wasting time more valuable to any of us than accomplishing something?
Yes! Thank you!
Is she agreeing with me?
Largely.
Wasting time is amazing!
Then no.
Alright, okay. Here is the deal. Take it or leave it. You help me find whatever information we have while we're fighting this fight. Or I leave now. I need to restore the barrier around Jumeirah.
All I got was, all right, here's the deal.
While we are fighting these vampires, as long as you help me find information to restore a magical barrier around Jumeirah, I will go along with this plan. If not, I will leave now.
Then I apologize, Cedrix, if you believed that I was trying to say that your people were a lost cause, because that is not what I was trying to say. Yes, we will still be trying to look into it. But most of us here are trying to, well, Fizzle's plane is broken, mine is dying, yours is being eradicated. And now we have vampires. On top of all of that. These goals are not mutually exclusive.
Then I'm here.
Good.
You know, doing this little errand will indebt a very skilled artificer to you.
Do you think I care about a merfolk artificer?
Yes, because the Kitsune is right.
Transferring consciousness, capturing a planeswalker spark, this man's a genius. He could possibly snap his fingers and build you a barrier.
And Kethis himself is a planeswalker, so therefore you don't have to simply get the knowledge and then do it yourself. You could simply... This is a plague that would be contained to his home plane. If he owes you, he can do it for you.
Oh, snap, I didn't even think of that.
I didn't either. This is all fucking Gladius right now. I'm just fucking rolling with it.
Why do I have to remind other people about your character?
Because
Because we never thought of Kethis as a solution to this problem. Like,
I still don't know what the fuck Tedrix's home plane problem is. At first I thought it was necromancers, then it's my plane is burning, and I just, like, too much poetic metaphor for me to actually remember what the hell this was we talked about like 8 months ago.
There was a barrier around the necromancers. It fell. They're invading. The whole burning thing is the only poetic thing.
And that's fine then. But yeah, like Jing brings up a good point. So hold on a second. I'm hopping back in character once I can press this button.
Beyond the purposes of the barrier, if you're trying to fight back an army of necromancers, Kethis can arrive and simply build an army of golems where they then lose their greatest advantage. You said, I believe that you said it as such, that every time you lose someone, they gain a soldier, and that's the biggest issue with fighting against their army. If they break a golem...
Akvis coughs.
How do necromancers feel about fire?
I could not understand any of you. You were all talking over each other. I heard something about fire.
Yeah, because it was like, oh hey, how do necromancers feel about fire?
This one likes it just fine.
You enjoy being on fire. Interesting.
Lizards cannot create body heat themselves. They rely on external sources.
I don't think that's true. Malgarian, is that true?
I'm a dragon, not a lizard. Also, I believe you forgot that I tend to sleep inside of magma because it's comfortable.
No, that's true. But the question is, would you enjoy being on fire?
As long as it's not magical fire, yes.
Well, I mean, of course it would be magical fire. Why are we even discussing this otherwise?
Seems to defeat the purpose of
the flesh.
That was purely me saying the exact same thing you did in different words, Matt.
Oh.
There is but one golden rule in biology. Dragons don't count.
Excuse me. I believe that you should probably consider rephrasing that statement for the future.
For purposes of determining standard rule, that is. Perhaps it would be more accurate to say dragons don't follow the rules.
So, while all this conversation is going on, Marcus just wants to turn around and grow a tree right behind him.
He does so.
In the sand?
Yeah. He rolls a 9.
The tree grows.
It's not it's not a very good tree. It doesn't even have to stay alive for long. He just wants a little bit of shade.
Well, he doesn't get any shade, unfortunately. The tree's roots fail to find purchase in the sand, and it goes...
Vidus would like to crawl into it and rattle the branches and curl up in a ball.
Okay, so...
The dragon is literally comic relief, and I'm okay with it.
But yes. So Tetrix has agreed to help.
Reluctantly, yes.
In your pouch, underneath your cloak, you feel the book warm again.
I'll take a look.
A massive arcane symbol swirl across the page. It's hard right now to make heads or tails of it. The book seems to be thinking.
Sorry, did you say singing?
Thinking.
Thinking. Okay.
Okay.
With that, though, you guys are free to pursue what you need to.
So essentially enough, we need to come up with a plan as far as what we are going to do about this, and what our end objective is for the vampires. I agree with Ethus's idea of containment over eradication, because from what he told me, they have a significant number of allies in Capricorn. And unless we were to go on a massive recruitment drive, gathering as many Planeswalkers from all we can, I don't see open warfare really favoring us.
Knowledge is a fine ally, very dangerous enemy. I'm not sure how we can hurt this.
What planet were they from again?
Capricorn.
Is there a way to just blow up an entire plane?
Yes, but none of us would have the power for it.
I mean, there are a bunch of us right here.
Combined, we do not have the power to eradicate a stable plane.
Now I know Fizzle's goal.
I mean, it's Emily's characters. No Survivor's Protocol is Plan A.
We know that they have the hunting lodges across a number of the planes. Those supposedly have portals. There's a portal back at Kefly, was it? Yes, Kefly. And so if we destroy their stable transportation networks, I feel like that would be the most damaging. But the problem that we run into is, if it is that important of an asset, it will be protected, each one. So, Peter, seeing that you have the most experience with fighting the dead, and specifically the magically inclined of them, what would you suggest?
Finding some way to seal off their plane would be the best option.
Simply prevent walking to or from the plane itself.
As in just, you mean to just seal off the plane as a whole?
Why not? If a magic can exist that can seal off something like a country, why can't there be something that seals off a plane?
Why would that be easier than exploding it?
Is it easier to blow up a house or lock the door?
Well, it's somewhat more than lock the door. You would then be making all of the windows airtight as well, because existence within a plane is defined by its ability to have magic flow into it.
Let's just suck out all their air. Oh wait, they're vampires. Never mind.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Bulgarian just like very slowly has closed his eyes.
Would we then be dooming the entire plane to die?
I mean, isn't it all vampires anyway?
Eventually, the magic of their plane would peter out, and it would die. I believe Cathis is being... I believe that Tedrix, in the long run, you may also have a flaw with this plan of... I don't believe that Cathis would really look at it as us having done him a favor to help if we wipe all existence of his plane from the multiverse. Especially since he would likely be trapped there with them. I'm not saying that it's not a possible plan, it's just... I kind of have to... I believe I have to mirror Fizzle's thought with, if we're going to seal it, why not just go through the extra effort and roping enough people in power in to just blow it up?
Yeah.
I think that the easier thing to do would be to just...
Okay, wait.
My thought would be to break their gateways, and then kill their planeswalkers, and then they're contained.
I mean, that is a thing, sure. But instead of just blowing up the whole plane, could we just, like, scour?
What's the possibility that their plane has those gates that Maraganda has?
You mean like the plane, or the gate that took us to Kefly?
Yes.
Or did you... That is exactly... Well...
Okay, just to double check, Josh, that is how they get to and from their little hunting lodges on the other planes.
Each hunting lodge has a gate, and then they use gates from whatever planes they go to other planes.
Okay.
Then, yes, that is exactly how they get to and from.
Destroy the gates.
That feels like the simplest solution. I'm simply... Short of wholesale mass destruction, I'm trying to see if there is other ideas that any of us might have.
Those are my only two options.
Does their home plane have a sun?
Well, let's see. Actually, Hunt, I got it.
Well, Tedrix, let me see the codex.
Alright. He hands it to you.
So he doesn't so much use his massive claws on the page or anything. He's just kind of like whiffing his finger over the book to force the pages to move with a tiny, tiny bit of magic to like, or whatever.
Cabron. A terrifying plane where nights are long, days are short, and civilization has taken a dark turn. The plane seems to be locked in a Victorian time period, but beneath the ornament of this, the monsters rule the plane. Humans are almost hunted to extinction in this plane, and now only exist in submission to the numerous races of night-dwelling creatures. The vampires hold elegant decadent court in satire of nobility. The werewolves proud the grasslands and mountains by the laws of instinct and survival. Every church desecrated before devils and demons. Ghouls skulk every filled mass graveyard. Gargoyles territorially protect their ruins against, quote, evil ones, which comes to mean anyone not a gargoyle, and Sarakar linger in the ocean, eager to drown sailors. and even worse things than these linger in the deep, faraway places of the forests and the woods. So yes, I believe Canthus' summary of "it could not suck anymore if it tried to" is about accurate. But it doesn't say anything as of yet about their son. Why do you ask?
Was wondering if perhaps we could add one.
Create a star.
Or borrow one. I don't know.
Actually, why not?
My gods, you guys are just trying to take this entire campaign right into the epic, aren't you? We're just gonna steal
Well, of
a
course.
son.
I mean, why not?
I mean, if Actus can figure out a way to tap into this lava beast that's haunting her, and Fizzle wants to play with glitter, then what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
I mean, we don't have to steal it. We can make one. Why not?
As somebody who's actually familiar with the star mechanics, this actually terrifies me.
Right?
What do you mean your planet was tidal locked? You know, just don't worry about it.
Just
warm your
imagine the
planet.
havoc wreaked by creating a binary star system where there wasn't one. Like, planets would literally be ripped apart, let's be honest here.
You don't even need to go for the full bloody star. I mean, you just need to open a gateway in the middle of the star for about 3 seconds, pull the entire core through, and already the entire orbital tract of everything is screwed.
We just need a big enough ball of iron.
I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about, just in different materials.
Well, what I mean is, like, we don't need a big enough ball of iron to create a secondary solar body. We just need a big enough ball of iron to Katamari Damacy the entire continent. And then turn it into a star.
The undead do burn exceptionally well.
I mean, if you want to take your dragon up into orbit with, a couple of handfuls of
I just want to just stop this for a moment and say you're like pulling a lot of science into a fantasy campaign.
High fiction fantasy.
Well, I mean, you drop anything from orbit, and if it survives, it explodes. Or it hits really, really hard. That's all you really need to think about.
I promised Josh that the carbon rod planetary bombardment was a one-time thing. I promise.
Josh, can I roll perception to see if the device from the vampire was left in the sand when he got here? If he did die, we have the device.
Yeah.
Josh, if this has changed from last week, I'm gonna be salty.
So yeah, roll that perception.
Somebody else roll that perception.
I mean, you guys all
I
see
was
T-Drix down
perception
apparently
last
looking
week.
in the sand. You could help him look.
Technically, he only said the device wasn't left behind. He didn't say the guy didn't drop it once he went through.
To be fair, Akvis's perception roll was absolutely atrocious last week too. Is this one where I could get away with my dragon rolling?
That you also, again, have legend points, which we are house ruling can be used as bennies to re-roll a result.
But can the dragon look?
Sure, go for it. I'm just gonna stealing this one.
To be fair, Sarah, the dragon's busy reading.
No, my dragon. The deuce has no patience for your books.
Yes.
Yeah, much better roll. You do not find any sign where you stand that the vampire died. There's no ash, no clothing. The device isn't there. As you're looking around Marcus's fallen tree, you realize something else. There are footprints on the other side of the dune.
Son of a...
And
We
then
need
a
to find that
hole
vampire.
leading directly to a small indent in the dirt.
We need to find that vampire.
Pardon?
The vampire that we followed here. He's still alive.
You didn't kill him?
I'm sorry, Fizzle. What we did while you were off screwing the priestess, why didn't you kill him?
Well, you pointed out exactly why. I was busy.
Enough. We have an enemy. We have an enemy that has information. Find it. T-Drix.
At that point, Malgarian closes the codex, and he hands it over to Tedrix, who actually has some place to put the book.
Yep, in a satchel.
Man, when did Valkyrian get boring? What happened to everybody? You guys were so much more fun. Except
To
for
be
the
fair,
three that I don't know.
To be fair, Malgarian gets a lot more entertaining when he has things to step on.
It's a true story.
To be fair, T-Drix will be a lot more fun once his zealous nature has been satiated about saving his empire.
And to be entirely fair, nothing's really threatened the wildlife yet, so... Aside from you once, and Marcus kind of got antsy about that.
Note to self, threaten the wildlife.
Anyway.
Next session, threaten the wildlife. Because there's nothing here that's going to threaten the wildlife, unless he's going to be particularly upset about sand.
Yeah.
So, Josh,
Yes.
a focus action. How define focus action for me, por favor.
Let me pull it up in the book. It's a full round action, basically. To use a D&D term.
So, I would like to use a focus action to use my scent perk. And pretty much ignoring the sense of the other 6 that are here.
Okay.
Trying to use that to figure out which one he needs to actually follow, and if that indent was he buried, like if it goes away from that indent or just straight into it.
It goes away from that indent.
Okay, Bulgarian just gonna start walking through the desert then, following the scent trail.
Okay.
Marcus will follow the dragon once he realizes the dragon is sniffing the air.
Oh, doesn't Marcus have that?
No, he doesn't. I didn't have enough points to buy everything that I wanted at starting, so I'm going to be filling in the gaps.
You know who else I think that has it, though? I think Jing has it.
Does Jing have it? Oh, sweet. I apologize.
I thought Marcus had it. That's why I was laughing so much. Because like half the fucking party has these bloodhound noses.
No.
Well, let's be honest. With the exception to Tedrix, we're all a bunch of fucking furries. Physical counts in this.
It pleases me. It pleases me greatly.
Yeah, I am the only human in the party, and have been since the game's beginning.
I mean, I'm Pixie.
Fizzle counts because she's a butterfly furry with commitment issues.
Technically, in the old party, so did Amatrine and so did Alona. They both counted because they were humanoid. They were weird versions of humanoid, but they were humanoid.
Amatrine was a rock furry.
I suddenly went
Cassie was in the middle of typing a roleplay post and I just broke her.
Okay, Maddie, it's very important that you do this. Turn to Cassie and say, I want a drawing of your rock Sona.
Apparently, Josh wants a picture of your Roxona. No. Fizzle is the butterfly furry with commitment issues. Ametrine was the rock furry.
And half the rest of the party is scalies.
I mean,
Boney, thank you.
I mean, insect is right, but I never pictured butterfly wings.
Okay, so Cassie's corrected it. She is not. Ametrine was not a rock. She was a Pokemon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yes. All right, so you follow along the scent trails.
Milotic.
So, following along the scent trails, you and Jing. It's fairly easy to follow the scent of, I don't know what a vampire smells like, wormwood and ash.
Grave dirt.
Grave dirt and ash. There you go. Eventually, however, on the distance, going across the dunes, you see what looks to be some form of like camel caravan. They're kind of just.
Are they still upright?
They are still upright and traveling along the crests of the dunes.
Can my Viashino sand swim?
That's a good question, considering that's something
There's-
that they frequently do.
There's not a relevant perk or feat.
I don't know if the Asgol Viashino can sand swim, because they're not from a desert; they're from a volcanic plain.
Yeah,
But do they have ash plains?
but like basalt beaches,
Goo Lagoon.
plains of ash.
I guess maybe she can. I guess that we could say that that's something she could do. Curse you, game, for not having a digging feat. How am I going to make digger with you now?
You're not, because I'm not running Hero Society in this system.
That's all right. Okay, so. But yes, Akbish can sand swim.
I'm gonna mount up.
I just want to say, if Vidu swims through the sand, he's gonna be so fucking shiny.
I think he just runs
What-
really fast.
Why did you go, Josh?
Can Vidu sand swim?
Trying to consider how well a pteranodon would deal with desert heat. Like, I haven't been having
Well,
you
no,
guys.
I can.
Yeah, I haven't having you guys roll for anything for this because I figure you're like mages, and it would be a pretty simple prestidigitation to be like cooling effect.
Bulgarian's fine.
Well,
Akvis is fine.
I can summon something other than the Pteranodon.
That's true. What are you gonna summon?
How many creatures will you let me have from Jarhadan itself?
We were gonna specify this, but I was gonna go with let's say 3.
Okay, then there are deserts on Jarhadan, so I can just summon something from there.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of what it would be.
Would you like a suggestion?
Sure. Because I'm kind of drawing a blank right at the moment.
Giant Gila monster.
Come on.
No, sure, why not?
I mean, it's better than going giant worms.
Oh,
Like
Is
But at
anything
least-
really better than giant sandworm?
are they also the spice?
That's exactly where I was going to go next, because at least one of those gives you the spice.
I just barely realized that T-Rex is enacting the Star Wars. Because those big lizard things that the sand troopers ride on. But no, so yes, T-Rex wills him up a summon. Since again, we're not really in a combat situation where it matters, I'm not going to make you roll for it. But we're going, he summons up a giant Gila monster, which he then climbs on. Using his whip as an improvised harness to ride along the sand with it.
Yep.
It makes Gila
Have
monster
fun on
sounds.
your new back.
It makes Gila monster noises.
Can Vidus have hopped a ride on the tail end of the worm?
Yes.
Aquas is sand swimming. Life is good.
Remember, walk without rhythm.
So seeing
Do it, Emily.
God damn it, Emily. Getting back to current things.
Josh, if I may throw one more thing, given that we were about to walk on to up to what would probably be a bunch of humanoids, and we have something else for the scent thing, Malgarian is going to transform back into a humanoid.
Okay. So yes. Malgarian. Is he breaking up for anyone else? Am I breaking up?
No. No.
Jeez.
No.
Note to self.
Somebody just dropped out. Oh, there's Dylan.
Someday soon, I need to get internet here, so I'm not on Wi-Fi anymore.
Yep.
As an aside, I would strongly suggest to get something other than Comcast.
Yep.
Comcast latently over the last months has had some really bad latencies.
I don't know if I'm with a Comcast company.
Can be for when we're not also.
Yes.
You know, I'm starting to think.
Out of character. So how big was Vidus?
He is a medium creature. The size of a golden retriever.
Oh yeah, Fizzle's so trying to ride that.
Hell yeah! So Fizzle is riding Vidus, who's riding the sandworm.
Not a sandworm, it's a Gila monster.
So Fizzle is riding Vidus, who is riding the tail of the Gila monster.
Yep.
And Aquas is swimming behind them.
Yep. This is what we have going on now.
I need a shitty sketch. Hang on. Carry on.
So you approach the nomads. The man at the head of the camel train, consisting of about 8 camels. Yes, Matt.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna
Type at me something.
I already did. It's all good. Do you want me to just roll a creation to make the clothes and weapon, or just assume that it's there?
You mean for the Conan form, or just normally?
No, I posted a picture in Planeswalkers since they're in the desert.
Oh, I see. Yeah, roll your creation. It's not going to be a hard creation roll, though. Oh my god.
Fuck.
Fuck my
Okay,
life. Okay, so you were dressed in the finest examples of that outfit there. So
Okay, cool.
So yes, the man at the head of the train, which consists of about 8 camels, about 16 guys with swords, gives a hearty kind of low in the belly, like, bellow towards you, and waves his hand. Hi, friend.
A pleasure. Not often that you run into others while trekking about.
It depends on the time of season, friend. You are an interesting set of nomads.
A way of putting it.
He seems rather interested in Tetrix's creature. What is that? From which of the 23 kingdoms does that hail from?
It doesn't.
His eyebrows widen.
That is a lot of kingdoms.
But that's also an interesting creature. What type of creature is that?
He adjusts the reins of his camel, strokes its face. This BB. She has served me 13 summers now.
Looks like a very interesting creature.
It survives the desert well. Be careful, it spits.
Oh, so does mine.
So, what sort of band be ye? I don't know, I switched into pirate for that. What sort of band are you? Traders? Treasure hunters? Marauders? At the last one, like, a few of the men behind him, like, ready his sword.
We're bounty hunters.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. You seek a wanted man. Also, Jing, to answer the question that Matt asked you, the camel the main guy is holding, the vampire's scent is all over it.
Vampire. Oh, what did he do to the poor camel?
So-
Gross.
Marcus?
What manner of man do you seek?
The kind with an unhealthy love of camels.
So,
It's more monster than man, though it would look like one.
As though the guy busts out a hearty gut laugh at Jing's statement and goes, "There's laws against that."
Out of character, but is that law enforced in all 23 kingdoms?
Depends on the kingdom.
This is the one of
Boy,
bestial sodomy.
Oh my.
at this point, Marcus is probably just kind of saddling up behind Malgarian and just being scary. Like, he's not trying to be blatantly threatening, just, I'm here, I'm scary, have some respect.
I have teeth. Arr.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, as the dude laughs, the other guys tend to like have kind of put like their hands are now off their swords. They're going about their business, looking after some of the other members of the caravan, the unarmed ones, which seem to be all women and children. Everyone who's unarmed is either a woman or a child.
I suppose that the most straightforward way of putting it is, has your camel been acting more lethargic late today?
No more than usual, considering the man we just carried to the city of Brass.
And that's why.
Could you provide us with directions to this city, good sir?
Oh. One of the Sandstalkers. I assume you poked your head up to actually state this?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did.
Why is that sand talking? Sorry.
You are.
I've been practicing my ventriloquism.
I find that such associations sometimes lend credence to my interactions elsewhere.
He chuckles to himself and simply says, I thought their species was extinct.
A few of us still
You hear
work.
that? You're dead.
Fizzle.
What?
A little bit of decorum. Just because the rest of them are does not mean I must be as well. That was not a challenge.
She's getting fun.
But at this point, Malgarian's like gonna let them have their little bickering marital spat over there, and he's gonna look at the caravan leader and says, "What is your name?"
Yeah, Josh. What's your name?
God damn it! I had a name and then I forgot it. Now I have it. Forget again. Now I forgot it again.
Prince
All right,
Ali.
listen here, lad.
His name. He simply. Crap. He's gonna sound racist.
This is Alkabah, not Agrabah.
Yes.
Let's be honest. What's the fucking difference?
His name that he says that his name is Hajim.
Copyright is the difference.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Spelled in the chat there.
My name is Kalasid, and I want you to know that the man that it is possible that the man that you brought back to that city is a vampire. That is what we are hunting.
He looks momentarily confused. What is a vampire, friend?
Now here's my counter question, Josh. Does the speaky part of do they not have a translation for vampire?
No, vampires have never existed on this plane.
Okay. It is an undead creature that feeds upon the blood of the living and can then turn the living into more of its kind. They are a plague, and this one intends to try and wipe out as much of any world that it can get to as it can. So we need to know where you took it.
We took it to the city of Brass, friend. The Eastern Wing, specifically.
Did you leave it in anyone's care?
No, we parted ways at the gate.
All right. I'd advise you avoid the city at all costs for as long as you can. We will go see if this can be contained.
It should be contained to only the wing. The city of Brass is funny. Only citizens can move fully freely between each wing. All others are confined to their district. The Eastern Wing is for travelers.
Well, depending on what powers that this one has developed, it may be able to befuddle the minds of men. So we will do what we can. But I would, as I said, I would advise staying away from the city. Do you have any other suggestions for us while we're on our hunt?
he looks at Tedrix and what Tedrix admitted, and he gestures to come in a little closer.
Who, to Tedrix or Malgarian?
To Malgarian.
Both of them? I don't know.
But he kind of just says it loud enough for everyone to hear anyway. But he's making that friendly gesture. Come here, come here. You're not from this realm, are you?
Josh, I DM'd
Can
you
I-
in Roll20. Or tried to.
I see it. Sorry, I was busy
No, you're-
role-playing.
Continue role-playing.
Am I able to selectively shape change back where it's just my eyes that turn into a dragon's?
Sure, I'll say that you can dispel enough of that to just show that off.
I'll be a bit
Okay.
At that moment,
Like-
Hajib nods and he goes, "Get your teammate or get your group some clothes and keep it very quiet. You are not from this realm. Certain Vajirs have been seeking people who can move between realms. Not many people know what that means on this plane."
At this point, Malgarian just gonna turn and look straight at Tedrix, and it's meant to be a polite "I fucking told you so" look.
Healthy rewards are offered. So, disguise yourselves with clothes and try not to draw any attention to yourselves.
I'm sorry, guys. I've killed us all.
Overhearing that, he points to her. Nah, there's folk like you in the 14th Kingdom. They'll just think you're a traveler. People are not always so educated in the kingdoms.
Oh, I just meant not drawing attention. There's gonna be all kinds of.
Each kingdom tends to be a little isolationist and not quite as knowledgeable as what's from there. We know, for we travel everywhere. We're merchants.
We appreciate the gesture. Hopefully you're able to stay safe from this.
Noted.
He kind of, in an honest gesture, waves his hand and goes, "Is not honesty. To play the game,
Can I?
and simply put, I don't believe my 16 men could handle what you all are. It's better to make a friend than to make enemies on a fool's errand."
I appreciate this man's wisdom.
I mean, I don't know. Don't worry about it.
I'm wondering if, out of character, I'm wondering if he would let me ride one of his camels for a little bit so I create a copy of it so I'm not running around on a creature that doesn't exist here.
Hey, Josh.
Yes, now that the role-playing is done. Yes, you could use entropy to do that.
Entropy?
Entropy or prescience would work for that.
I would like to flip a legend point. That's more acceptable.
A much better
One
power,
of them exploded, just not the one I wanted.
a much better power level of spying, yes. None of these people are affected. None of these people have the taint of vampirism about them.
Just the camel.
Well, not even
But not the camel. The camel just smells like it.
Yeah, the camel just smells like the dude.
I'm absolutely useless.
Hi, I lost connection.
So,
Yes.
evidently, We heard this vampire of yours, and then silence, and then the stream died, and you disconnected.
And the stream has resumed? Has resumed. Has not resumed?
Yes. Ish.
Ah.
It looks like it has.
Awesome.
It looks like your YouTube page is stuck. But the stream is streaming your YouTube page, so.
Okay, cool. Well, let me just get back to what I was saying. Your vampire, for all the monster that you claim he is, certainly did look funny strapped to the underside of my camel.
Pray tell how that particular result came about.
He was afraid of the sun. There was nowhere to hide from the sun but under the camel. So we just lashed him to the underside and carried him along.
Yes, the sun kills them. Burns them alive.
Then they
Or-
picked a very poor place to come.
Seems that way. Well, safe journeys.
To you as well. And he gives the name you gave. I forgot what it is already.
I think I said Caliseed.
Caliseed.
Something like that.
Okay.
Oh, is this like a merchant caravan, or are they moving a bunch of people?
It's a merchant caravan.
Oh. Do they have anything neat?
That's all packed up at this point.
Oh, well.
Marcus is going to attempt to create gold to trade with. But we will find out how well this works.
Well, we do have to be... Well, we can get to that maybe another time, because we do need to start wrapping it up.
Okay.
Didn't get as far as I was expecting, but there was a lot more roleplay in this, and I enjoyed that.
It doesn't really matter. Heal again.
Oh, poor thing. So, you roll good when you're trying to heal yourself.
Sometimes.
So, the parties, and he does. He gives you directions on how to get from there, what bearings to take to get to the city of Brass.
Cool.
And I'm going to say that, just to fast forward a little, for Sarah's sake, the group travels along what he states, which is simply heading 200 paces in an easterly direction, and then veering off south for another, I'd say, about 6 miles. They reach the gates of a massive city housed between two mountains that gleams in the sunlight, entirely made of brass, or mostly of brass. As you get closer, you realize that it's kind of a facade. The roofs are made of brass, and the foundations of white stone brick. But from the distance, it does seem to shine like brass, as though the entire city was made of it.
Do you suppose that's the city of Brass?
Maybe. We should go look to be sure.
Activist pokes her head up out of the sand, flicks her tongue, and then goes back to swimming.
And I think that arriving in the city is where we will end it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Tune in next week where Activists will take a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
I mean, at this point, it's entirely possible.
It is entirely possible.
What's up, Doc?
I want you all to know that you hurt me in ways that haven't yet made me facepalm, but would normally.
What?
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
Say goodnight,
It's okay.
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
I promise by the end of the story arc that Melgarian will have another progeny on this plane too.
Wink, wink.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh, that might
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.